Hi, welcome to this webinar on spirituality. My name's Ron Lanchard. I'm a registered nurse at South Pacific Private. And in the next half hour, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what spirituality actually means to me and how it can impact your own journey. I want to begin by asking you a question, a simple question of what comes to your mind when you hear the word spirituality. I've asked that question many times in the same kind of setting and get quite a number of different answers like angels and spirits and power of the universe and higher power and miracle and many other answers to that question. One issue that always comes up, of course, when you talk about spirituality is this, religion. And I just want to assure you this morning that I'm not talking about religion. I'm actually talking about spirituality. I'm talking about the fundamental nature of spirituality and what that means for our journey wherever we might find ourselves. I'm going to begin by just sharing with you a little story from my own life. I was about 30 years old and I wanted to be a good father to my 6-year-old son, so we set out across the Pyrenees. The Pyrenees is that mountain range between Spain and France, and we trekked across it for 5 days. Well, that was our intention. About day 2, we were up in the high mountains, sleeping next to the lakes of the Pyrenees when it hit me. My tummy started acting up. Within an hour, I was vomiting. An hour later, what you can imagine, and about an hour later, the power went out. I had no strength whatsoever, and I knew we needed to get out of there. And I had an escape plan that we would go down the next mountain and into a little village about 5 kilometers down the road. Oh, certainly we'd get a ride there, but we didn't. We walked the whole way, arrived in this little Spanish village about 10 o'clock in the morning. Sat down. The village was totally vacant. There was no one. Everything was shut up. Nothing was available. Not a person in sight. Sat down in front of this little Spanish house, and son turns to me and says, "Dad, what are we going to do?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Well, we could pray." And at that point, I let out the biggest scream of help that you've ever heard. It was about 3 seconds later, the shutters above the house in which we were sitting under was opened, and a little Spanish lady sticks her head out and says, "¿Qué pasa? What's happening?" And of course, I told her the story about my son and I traveling across the Pyrenees, getting sick from the shepherd from up the way who was sheep were obviously soiling the water which I was drinking. And she said these words to me, I'll be back in a minute. And she closed the shutters and was gone for the longest time. When she returned, she opened the shutters and these words came out of her mouth. "You'll not believe what I'm about to tell you." I said, "Try me." "Every day of his life," she said, "my husband gets out of bed at 5:30 in the morning, goes off to the next village, even Christmas, off to the next village, works all day and comes back at 10 o'clock. This morning, for the first time in our married life of 25 years, he said, 'I'm not going.'" He's a taxi driver and he's warming his taxi up in the basement as we speak, and he'll be out in 5 minutes to take you to the next town. Incredible. For me, the moment I screamed out to the universe for help, there's a taxi available. And that has become sort of my catch cry, that indeed there's issues of connection and spirituality in our life. Where does that word spirituality actually come from? Well, I think of words that are very similar to the word spirit, and I think of the word inspire. Of course, we understand the word inspire to mean to encourage, to pick up, to call along. But when you think of the word inspire and its opposite, expire, you know that inspire to encourage, expire to die. But in its root meaning, it actually means to breathe. You inspire, you expire. This word spirit actually comes from the word breath. I want you to take a moment and think about your breath. When you started listening 5 minutes ago to this podcast, you know you were breathing, but you weren't thinking about your breathing. And yet your breathing was very important to your existence. If you would stop breathing, you would stop living. And yet we don't think about, we go about every day breathing. And that's spirituality in our own lives. It's that vital to our existence, and yet we don't think about it much. In fact, I would say, and I'm about to say, that the issues that led you to be connected with SPP in your life have to do with something spiritual. And I'm going to share that with you by beginning with what I see as my definition of spirituality. Spirituality, in my mind, is the practice of the profound awareness that I am connected in me, with others, and with my universe, which awakens me. The practice of the profound awareness that I am connected in me, with others, and with my universe, which awakens me. Just take a few minutes to unpack this definition because it's so vital to the understanding of spirituality. I said the key factor of spirituality is connectivity. I am connected. I am connected. You don't have spirituality without connection. When I screamed out to the universe, help, there was an answer. There's connection. Now that connection happens on 3 levels. Those levels are in me, according to this definition, with others, and with my universe. Well, let's look at these individually. The first connection is in me. Now, I told you earlier that I'm a registered nurse, and I have the privilege also of teaching the medication lecture at SPP. And I asked this question, the most outstanding character, what is the most outstanding characteristic of the human body physiologically? What is it? Well, it's balance. It's balance. The medical term is homeostasis, but the body is built in a beautiful way of balance. In fact, we know that if we start running down the street, our heart rate increases in order to balance out the need that it has for oxygen. And we also know that our bodies are ill when it's unable to balance itself any longer. And the fact is, you have been built, you have been created, you have been developed for balance, physiologically, but also emotionally. I take my car to my mechanic, and it usually ends up looking sort of like this. All the parts of my car are out on the mechanic's floor when I go to pick it up. And when you go to therapy, that's what your life sort of looks like. All the pieces of your life are laid out, and it looks like it's an impossible project to put it back. And you might even have said from time to time, I'm just not balanced. It's not going to happen in me. And I want to say to you that you have been created for balance. You have been created for balance. Spirituality is not putting the pieces back together of the car. Spirituality isn't putting the pieces of your life back together. That's therapy. Spirituality is coming to the place where you actually believe that you have been built for balance and celebrating that fact. So connection happens on 3 levels. It happens in me. It happens then secondly with others. And I ask you the question, who are your significant others? And again, I've asked that question many times to many groups, and they answer it by saying loved ones, family, children, grandchildren, even pets. And then there's the neighbors and friends, and even our workmates. And for me, that's important because workmates, we spend anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day with our workmates, and they are important to us. You have been created not only for balance within yourself, with connection for yourself, but connection with others. I've worked at SPP for a long time, and on Monday we have graduation, and not after one of these graduations has someone come to me, one of our clients has come to us and said, guess where I'm going after I leave here? I'm going to Antarctica to live the rest of my life by myself. No, in fact, we're created to live in connection with people. And I might add that probably all of us at some time or another said, I'm just not built for relationships. But the fact is you are. You are built for connection in yourself, balance, with others, connection or relationships. But you're also built for connection with your universe. It's the practice of the profound awareness that I am connected with others and with my universe, which awakens me. We're fortunate in Australia to live in a country in which our ancestors actually believe this with all their heart, that they're connected with their universe. And even scientists today are saying that the universe out there is very much connected with us here. The little atoms in my little finger are the same atoms that revolve around Pluto, whether it's a planet or a star or whatever it might be. And they're actually interchangeable, and they affect one another in different ways. We are connected with our universe, and for many of you, you've had a connection with either your higher power or that being that you might call God, or some other connection with your universe that in your journey that's led you to be connected with SPP, that has fallen away. We are built for connection with our universe, and it's time to reconnect. But spirituality isn't reconnecting. It's not reconnecting with relationships. It's not reconnecting with ourselves. It's not even reconnecting with our universe. Spirituality is actually celebrating that connection that exists. We've seen then that our connection is on three levels. It's in me, with others, and with my universe. Spirituality, then, is the practice of the profound awareness that I am connected. It's the practice of this connection. And I want to take a moment to just focus on that topic, that theme of this so important topic in our life of spirituality. I want to ask you a question. Where does your heart sing? As you can tell from my accent, I grew up in the eastern part of the United States. I didn't see the ocean until I was well over 21 years of age. So for me, my heart sings in the mountains, particularly the mountains of Switzerland where my son and my grandchildren live. And when I go there, I just get excited about being in the mountains. But for you, a lot of you who are listening to me who grew up by the ocean, the sea is a place where your heart sings. Or maybe the Australian bush. It's a place where our heart sings. I want you to go right now to that place, and I want to ask yourself this question. What does your heart sing? What does it say when it's in that place? Again, I've had a lot of answers to that question, like, oh my God, oh, got peace, joy, wonderful, incredible, life. I could keep going on. But it's the practice of the profound awareness that I'm connected, this emotional response, that is spirituality. Spirituality is responding, the understanding, this profound awareness that I am connected in me, with others, and with my universe. Now in 15 minutes, that's the theory. That's the theory of what spirituality is. And it would be unfair of me just to stop there. If I need to go on. I need to go on and say, how do I practice this profound awareness? How do I actually get it into my system? And I want to share with you 6 practices that I have found meaningful. This has grown from beginning of only 3 practices to now 6 practices that I think we can put into our lives to practice spirituality. How do I practice this profound awareness? Well, the first question to answer that is to ask this question. What is the USB port of spirituality into your being? What do I mean by that? I'm asking you, what is the connector between you and spirituality in your being, in your life? And the answer is this. It's your mind. Your mind is the beginning of the tool for practice of spirituality. Now let's look at this for a moment. What about your mind? What is the activity of your mind? Well, it's thinking, of course. That's what we do with our mind. Where is the mind? Many of you will think that it's between your ears. That's your brain. And the brain's function is to actually mechanically operate the whole system. But in that, you think all day long. How much time of our life is occupied with thinking? Well, already you've been listening to this podcast, this webinar for about 17 minutes, and you've been thinking the whole time without even thinking about thinking. Much like breathing, you go about thinking all day long, and yet you don't think about thinking. You don't think about breathing. You don't think about thinking. Yet it's vital to your life. Take away your thinking, and you don't exist. How controlled is your thinking? Who controls your thinking? Many people see thinking as standing out in the middle of a battlefield, and whatever comes, comes, and you can either embrace it or let it go. Mindfulness, this first step of spirituality, is bringing the control of your mind into your hands. That's not easy. Be like me saying, let's go out and run a marathon today. We couldn't do that. We'd have to start training little by little, maybe 100 meters today, 200 meters tomorrow. The fact is, mindfulness is the same way. For you to bring back the control into your hands will mean a little practice today, using mindfulness tools like Headspace app on your phone to bring that control back into your hands. Spirituality is becoming mindful. It's you taking control of your mind. That means you sit down and you put yourself into the present. I am present right here and right now. But it doesn't stop there. It then becomes aware. You become aware in your mind of your connections in you. You're made for wholeness and health and being. Your connections with others. You're made for relationships. And your connection with your universe, that you are connected with your higher power, whatever that means for you. And then it celebrates that connection, that emotional response of being in that place that excites you. You say, yes, I am connected in me, with others, and with my universe. Mindfulness is the beginning of spirituality. Now, I've said earlier, there are 6 practices of spirituality. The first of these, of course, is mindfulness. And I encourage you to begin that practice today. In fact, we believe there is a connection between your walk in recovery and mindfulness as part of your daily activity. And I would dare say that the journey that's led you to be connected with SPP over the past months and years has to do with a lack of mindfulness and practice of being mindful. But I've got 5 other practices I'll just run through very quickly in the next 5 minutes to share with you. The second is creativity. There's a connection between spirituality and creativity. In the creative process, bringing something out of nothing, we find ourselves in that creative process, recognizing our wholeness within us, our connection with others, and our connection with the universe. And I dare say that the journey that's led you to be connected with SPP, you've probably given up some of those creative practices, whatever they might be, singing or writing or performing, whatever it might be. It's time to put them into practice, but use spirituality, the reminder that you are connected in you, connected with others, and connected with your universe. I do that with my art. I know that in my creative process, I find connection with myself, find connection with others, and I find connection with my universe as I share that with my universe. Thirdly, gratefulness. Gratefulness is acknowledging the gifts in my life. And the journey that's led us to be connected with SPP, we tend not to be grateful and acknowledge the gifts in our lives. It's acknowledging ourselves as being a gift to the universe. It's acknowledging our relationships, even though they're not always sparkling and bright, that even people that create pain in our life are a gift to us because they are making us stronger for our life. And we become grateful for our universe that is part and parcel of us. I encourage you to create a gratefulness notebook in which you jot down every day, maybe not, maybe every other day, maybe once a week, the things in your life, the people in your life, the universe in your life that are gifts to you. Mindfulness, creativity, gratefulness, and nurture. I recognize that in the nurturing process, we become connected with ourselves, with others, and with our universe. I'm not saying for you to go out and have a baby and nurture a baby, but I'm saying to you is maybe, and not even a puppy, but I'm saying to you that maybe in our own lives we need to find that nurturing process, be with a plant and nurture it. In that way, we connect with ourselves and with our universe and with even those individuals that are with whom we have a relationship. Nurturing is a spiritual process. Forgiveness as well, the ability to not accept the pain that someone else is trying to deliver to us. That's a spiritual practice because we have to be good within ourselves. We have to find the ability to have that emotional strength within ourselves, our connectivity in ourselves, with others, and with our universe. And the sixth practice of spirituality is sacred space. It's interesting that every religion that I've studied has sacred space involved with it. Because I think spirituality requires a sacred space for us. What does this mean? This means creating a special space for us that is our place where we can go to be reminded of our connection in ourselves, with others, and with our universe. And so we might put different objects or icons in that space that becomes for us the reminder that I'm okay, that I am connected in me. So my victories in life, my medals in life are put there. It reminds me of my connection with others. So I have pictures of our children and relationships that mean so much to me. And then I put in that sacred space my reminders of my connection with my universe, my holy books, my rocks and gems, whatever they might be, that remind me that I'm part of this universe. And in that way, we know that we are practicing this profound awareness that I am connected in me, with others, and with my universe. And what does that do? That awakens me. That awakens me. When I was about 30 years old, I was getting a bit big around the middle, and I thought, well, I'm going to start to run a marathon. Began to practice and was living in Barcelona at the time, and I had the opportunity to run the Barcelona Marathon. The next year it came around, and I decided to run it again. And it was the time that they were getting ready for the Olympics in Barcelona. So I didn't run the Barcelona Olympics. I ran the course in practice for the Olympics. And I did so well, I thought, wow, I want to keep doing this. And so 6 weeks later was the Madrid Marathon in Spain. And I thought, what a wonderful way to see the city. 42 Ks running around the city that I'd never been to, don't know anyone there. I'll just go and run the Madrid Marathon. My physiologist said that I shouldn't have done that. It wasn't good for my legs, and I was sick for a long time after that. But I was doing it. The problem was when I went to Madrid on Saturday night, I got up Sunday morning and started running, and I didn't look at the course. And it was about 36 Ks downhill till the last 6 Ks were this awful hill to the end that I had to run up. By the time I got to the base of that hill at 36 Ks, I thought I was going to die. I was bent over. There was a knife thrust into my side, I felt, and I couldn't see out my eyes any longer. I was ready to give up. Ready to give up. And then I heard it. Ronald Blanchard. Ronald Blanchard. I thought the angels were calling me home, but the pain didn't stop, so I knew it wasn't that. And I looked up through squinty eyes, and there in the horizon of in front of me stood a person calling my name in Spanish. Ronald Blanchard. Ronald Blanchard. I couldn't believe my ears, and I was such a curious bugger. I had to run up to him, and he started running with me, doing only one thing, calling my name, Ronald Blanchard, and he ran with me, Ronald Blanchard, for the longest time. I then noticed in his hand he had the numbers of all of us running, and he was picking off those who weren't making it up that hill that day and helping them. He spent the longest time with me, just calling my name and running alongside. When we got to the point where he knew I was going to be able to get up that hill, he stopped, but he continued to call my name. And I finished the marathon that day. Friends, you're in a big journey here, a journey that's been difficult, and many difficult hills have been, and listen for your name, because that's what we're on about here at SPP, and your friends, your connections calling your name. And it's so important to hear the voice of spirituality, to understand that you have been created for connection in you, with others, and with your universe, because it's that connection that's going to wake you and create in you the strength to get up that hill and finish the race. Thank you for your involvement with us, and thank you for your listening to this webinar today, and I wish you the very best. Thank you.